There we go. So I'm Dr. Teri Platt from Clark Atlanta University, and I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Sabrina Riles. We're both in the Department of Public Administration. And so I think it works well for us to focus on our project, which was looking at strategic campus partnerships. Often we think about how we can make the most of the existing bodies on our campus beyond student organizations and beyond the faculty to look at ways we can institutionalize or ways that we can streamline our processes so that we can be more effective in reaching out to students. And so we focused on connecting with the registrars or the Office of the Registrar for civic engagement. So one of the things when we think about working with registrars, often it calls for you to think outside the box because we don't think of registrars as being a natural partner for civic engagement. But when we think about what a registrar does in terms of planning and organizing and managing the records and information about students, they are a natural partner because they also have a lot of valuable information and data that can be leveraged for streamlining our activities. And so when we think about connecting with the registrar's office, it is a very intentional relationship, but it can be a very beneficial relationship for student voter engagement activities, either sharing information, collecting information for the next step of sharing information about students. In many campuses, the Office of the Registrar may have multiple staff members who serve in a variety of roles and capacities. So it might not be that you're contacting the university registrar, but you might be working with someone specifically within their office who may be able to facilitate your information collection activities or processes. I know at our institution at Clark Atlanta, while there are two offices that manage data and information. So one is the Office of the Registrar, but the other one is the Office of Planning, Assessment, and Records, so OPAR. And they collect a lot of the information and compile it for internal reports and external reports. And some of the information that we have used in the past as it relates to student information, course assignments in terms of buildings, et cetera, has come not just from the registrar's office, but from our other record keeping and assessment office on campus. So that's just something to keep in mind. Although we're speaking specifically about registrar's office, we're specifically also talking about different offices or units on campus that help to plan and organize and manage information as it relates to students and courses. So when we think about reaching out to the registrar's office, particularly for student voter engagement, the registrar reaches out and connects with so many other units across the campus based on the relationships that they have, which can also facilitate relationships that you can then have in order to extend your reach. So working with the registrar's office, specifically at Clark Atlanta University for the general election of 2020, connecting with the Office of the Registrar also provided opportunities for us to connect with the Office of General Counsel because we needed permission to be able to access the various records about students. We needed to make sure that we weren't opening ourselves up for liability or that there were some other compliance issues, which opened up new partnerships as well. Additionally, when we think about connecting with the Office of Media Relations through the Office of the Registrar in terms of advertising key dates and deadlines. On our campus, the Office of the Registrar is also responsible for maintaining the university calendar. But the Office of Media Relations is responsible for maintaining the website and communicating a lot of the information out to the student body and out to the community. So making sure that we can communicate with both groups, but first starting with the Office of the University Registrar, who establishes that university calendar, which can be very central for making sure that we're communicating deadlines, key deadlines, and dates to students about events, about election activities, and about what's happening around them in the community at large for voter-related activities. When we think about the Office of Residential Life, a lot of information resides within them, but we're able to, through the registrar's office, collect one spreadsheet that contains where students are residing on campus, as well as in that spreadsheet, you can collect information about students who are not residing on campus, information about which dorm they're in, what meal plan they have, what their class schedule is. So a lot of the information that can help you have a better relationship or stronger relationship with residential life, you can also collect a lot of that information through your registrar's office. I mentioned the relationship with the Office of Planning, Assessment, and Records in terms of collecting a lot of that information that may be the official university data records that are available after what we call census date. So after the critical date where students are indicated as being fully registered and enrolled in classes, then you have the official information in terms of how many students actually are enrolled and registered in courses, which classes are currently open, what the actual registration numbers are for those courses, which can assist you as you begin to decide where's the best location on campus for tabling, which professors are the best professors and disciplines for contacting because of their key moments where they're interacting with students, and what are the key time frames that you should use for connecting with students. Again, a lot of that information is coming from the registrar's office. And the same when we think about the Office of External Relationships, building those external partnerships. Many of our campuses have lobbyists, or at least our university systems have lobbyists that may also be at our State House, particularly at Clark Atlanta. Since we're in Atlanta, where the State House is located, we have a lobbyist that interacts with state legislators that are advocating for various educational policies. The Office of the Registrar can serve as a key point of contact because they are providing information to the Office of External Relationships. And then we're able to benefit from their meetings, attend their meetings, and be able to share information with them. And the last one that I'll mention is the Center for Teaching and Faculty Development. Some campuses have them in a more robust form on their campus, where they're collaborating with the Office of the Registrar in order to identify courses that may have that are meeting key learning objectives and learning goals. And this might be an opportunity for you to be able to connect with the Office of the Center for Faculty and Teaching Development to provide modules, additional support, additional resources, and find those faculty members who might be interested in engaging in more targeted student voter engagement activities. I included these other units on campus that can also be beneficial, that have a relationship with the Office of the Registrar. Many of them we already work with across our various institutions and across our campuses, but thinking about entering that relationship from the perspective or from the vantage point of the Office of the Registrar, because again, there's certain information that may be very specific to the connection that the dean may have with the Office of the Registrar in order to achieve certain goals, certain outcomes, certain objectives, and fulfilling the institutional mission as it relates to civic engagement and student voter engagement. So when we think about some of the benefits of collaboration, I already mentioned some of the key dates on the university calendar, making sure that you get that inclusion of election deadline and dates, as well as campus-based and community-based event deadlines. But then also when you're thinking about or planning to include voter registration in the registration process, finding those moments, there might be ways for you to include messaging in your, whether you use Banner or some other Ellucian-based system, where students can, just as they are affirming their mailing address, they could also affirm and confirm what is their address for voter registration. So there's other records that you can collect or you can access in order to trigger students to think more meaningfully about voter registration based on the registration process for courses beyond physical actual engagement and programming that can be designed. The other thing that I will say, many students have a temporary and a current residential address. We were online when we first started building our relationship with the registrar's office. So it really mattered for us to know exactly where students were in terms of their physical residential location. In many instances, our campuses might still have students who are residing offline or have online learning options or remote learning options for students. So being able to have that information so you can make direct contact with each individual student can be a benefit of connecting with the registrar's office, as well as looking at these course tallies and looking at these highly populated courses, high traffic buildings, and these critical course times where you may be able to strategically place yourselves for specific events, or you may be able to specifically target faculty members and get student organizations to partner with you for registration activities. So I wanted to give a little example of how we've collaborated. So first, it started out with obtaining that list of enrolled students, not just registered students, but enrolled students. When we look at the permissions that students have provided for the use of their information, a precondition on our campus is that they be enrolled, which means financially enrolled to attend our institution. And so again, that information comes from our general counsel. And so making sure that we're in compliance there, but also thinking about how you're going to develop your messaging. So when we think about dividing the students, once you have this list of students, what are you going to do with it? So when you have your democracy fellows, you may have your volunteers, your faculty, dividing the students into groups in order to specifically target them in ways that you can track, and then collaborating with faculty and staff so that you can reach them across platforms, and making sure that you can follow up with the students to make sure that you have contacted them. And that may include using a voter registration platform. We use TurboVote, but then also making sure that you are able to maintain a spreadsheet so that you know what your volunteer outreach efforts have looked like. And that's something that we did. We use 6 to 12, depending on the time period, 6 to 12 democracy fellows. And we divided our students out by geographical location in order to make sure that we were familiar with the voter guidelines, because we were 100% remote for the last general election, so that we can make sure that the students were receiving accurate information and that we could systematically track and target our students. And we were able to make 4 independent contact points with the students through mail. We used email, we used social media, and our learning management system by using modules. But just making sure that you have a process for tracking this information and making sure that you are asking every student. The worst thing is to go through all this effort and to not be able to verify that you have connected with each student in a meaningful way. And so I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Sabrina Riles, who will go over an infographic about other strategic partnerships that might be beneficial, not just looking at a registrar's office.
Thank you, Dr. Platt. Let me share my screen. Oh, it says cannot start sharing yet. So I'm doing this up. Can you all see my screen now?
It's not in the the share mode, not in the slideshow mode.
Okay, hold on. Start. Let's see, can you see it now?
No, click on the book down at the can you try to get out of your version of the slideshow and then go back to the regular slide, and then click on the book down at the bottom, or share all of your screens, share the one that's highlighted, and then just click on the PowerPoint, and then you'll be able to share it.
So I got out and I'm trying to click from start. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. Share screen. Can you see it now?
Nope.
You can see it?
No.
No?
No. I mean, we can see the regular. Hold on one second. Let me try to share it real quick. Okay, let me see.
I do apologize, everyone. I've tried presenter view, start from the beginning of the PowerPoint. It's not working. Okay.
All good. It's
okay, there we go.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So this infographic just basically shows our strategic campus partners. As Dr. Platt has already mentioned, we are planning to collaborate with the Office of the Registrar, which has extensive demographic information regarding our students. In addition to the Office of the Registrar is the Office of Communications. And basically with this office, they have the ability to advertise any of our messaging regarding civic engagement activities that we want, and they can place those on the university's website as well as the university's calendar for more publicity and marketing. In addition to that, as Dr. Platt mentioned, the University General Counsel. Now, this is under our Office of Compliance, but basically this council can be utilized in terms of, making sure that we're in compliance with any agreements that we have with regards to civic engagement participation, and making sure that those absolve us of any type of liabilities. And our fourth communication here, or partnership here, is with the Center for Teaching and Faculty Development. And there we are planning to utilize this center for any types of trainings regarding curriculum design, as well as those regarding any type of course evaluations with our faculty. And so that basically just sums up our extensive partnerships. Thank you.
So I just want to wrap it up with one last statement. And so while a lot of these partnerships and these relationships may seem intuitive, when you don't have a center that's dedicated to civic engagement and voting, and you're working with different partners across your campus, often they don't know the pathways or the possible pathways for achieving their goals. And so on our campus, this is one of the challenges that we face, is trying to make sure that other units across the campus are aware of our potential partnerships and our relationships, so that we can be much more effective and we can cut down on lost time of people reinventing the wheel of building these partnerships and building these relationships by pre-establishing many of these relationships, so that we can help our student organizations as well as help ourselves as we go about including more faculty and more staff in our university-wide approach to civic engagement and registering students and engaging them in voter-related activities. So that's where we are now. It's still an evolving product, but I think it kind of reflects where we've been, where we are, and where we will hope to go.